As I was sleeping that night, the buzzing in my ear finally stopped, and that did indeed improve my mood. Upon waking, I decided I'd get to mining the nearest section of steel. As I was eating a meal, taking a break from mining, a fella fell right out of the sky. Seems like this is a very common occurrence around here. I ain't true to form. I decided I'd go help him out. He wasn't a hostile. Seemed like an alright fella. So I relaxed for a few minutes, feeling good for once, and then I ran off, see if I could help him out. I got him hauled back in, decided not to use some of the little bit of medicine I had on him, and tended him the best I could regardless. He had quite the grimace on his face, but he was happy that someone was taking care of him. After that, I was back to mining, occasionally stopping, feed that fella coyote before getting back to mining. I'd build a torch to help me out. I can always mine a little faster when I can see. And for the most part of the day, that was my main focus. After mining all day, I decided to lay down and do some stargazing. It was a beautiful clear night, and I was feeling alright. Before this gets to sound too much like an old earth country song, I better hit the hay. While sleeping, a group of travelers passed by. I didn't have anything to say to them for the minute. When I woke up, smoked myself a little bit of smoke leaf, got the prisoner fed, and then it was right back to mining. I felt a little off from the smoke leaf, but it wasn't a bad kind of off. It did make a guy a little bit hungry, more so than usual. I focused on mining most of the day, caught wind of some weird plants sprouting relatively nearby. There wasn't much I could do about that at the minute. I kept on mining, making sure to keep Coyote fed. And Coyote seemed to be healing up pretty well. He was telling me all kinds of stories and things that go on this planet. I was happy to get the information. And my day was filled with mining, eating, mining. Once the smoke leaf buzz wore off, I felt like I was making much better progress. And then it was time to get off to bed. Coyote was healing up right well. Hamlet was helping me out hauling all that steel I was mining. First thing in the morning, had myself a meal, fed Coyote. My food stocks were looking pretty good, so I didn't mind sharing. As I was mining, I decided I was going to fill all this mountain back in with some wood, see if I could keep any of them crazy animals under the ground popping out. By then my potatoes were ready. I had to harvest that, and a rabbit stepped on one of my traps. I wasn't terribly concerned that was going to get me some meat, but it was going to cost me some more steel, sadly, of which I had a large stockpile. After feeding Coyote in the evening time, I replanted the potatoes, and those plants were just spreading like mad out there. Coyote said it was ambrosia, and that it would be amazing when it finally came due. It was all over the place. Some of it looked to be ready to harvest, so I put it on my list of things to do. I went about my business. I sat down, smoked another joint. It was starting to get to be a habit, but ain't much else for a guy to do. After that, I got back to planting my potatoes, see if I could get that all done, which I did, about 3 in the morning. After that, it was time for a meal, and then hit the hay. I thought it was going to be a peaceful sleep. I did get contacted by someone who was being chased, needed some help. Those pirates were after him. So I said, come on in, we'll see if we can take care of them baddies. And she was right happy. run on in, seek some protection behind my walls. She tried to steal one of my shirts right away, which I wasn't happy about. It wasn't long before those pirates showed up. I did give her a gun, something with which to defend herself. Maybe next time they'd think twice about messing with her. These fellas were all armed with grenades, Molotovs. Not sure how well it was going to work out. Hopefully they didn't decide to attack my walls. I gathered up my amazing Mastercraft weapon, ran on out to see if I could deal with them, and Grace was happy to join me. As they approached, we started shooting away. And of course, they started hitting my traps. 2 of them died on the traps. The other 2 decided to think better of the whole situation. They were wearing some reasonably decent armor, so they weren't the easiest fellas to bring down. But they were both wounded. Grace wasn't much of a shot, I can certainly say that, but she tried. We gave him as much business as we could, dropping a 3rd one. I decided I was going to nab his clothes. He had that armor on. That would be useful. We're going to need some more graves around here. The way people keep showing up. All violent, hell-bent to die. Plus I was going to have to rebuild a bunch of traps. And Grace got that fella stripped out of his armor. And she got all of his stuff dragged in too. Well, which was pretty helpful. One more thing I didn't have to do. Coyote was starving by then. With all the fighting going on, I'd forgotten all about him. Grace tried to take that armor right away. I gave her the no-no. I helped you out. Least you could do is leave me with the armor. And you're welcome to come back sometime. But for now, you can't stay. She was a pretty nice gal. I wasn't terribly happy about sending her on her way. She did have some sticky fingers, some of my clothing. I had myself a meal. Butchered up that rabbit. And then I was off to bed. After quite a day. While sleeping, a squirrel killed himself on one of my traps as well. There were all kinds of goats running around out there too, threatening to do the same. When I awoke, it was about 11 p.m. I fed Coyote, I fed myself. Decided I was going to do some cleaning. Things were looking pretty dirty. I got one of those people buried. I butchered up that squirrel next. See how much meat I was going to get out of all this. I built another grave for the last of those fellas that was laying on one of my traps. Got him put in the ground. I decided to get back to building those walls before whatever crazy animals were under the ground scratching around decided to make an appearance. Fortunately, I had a pretty good stockpile of wood laying around. And with all the extra steel I'd mined, I was able to rebuild those traps with no problem. I built a trap, decided I should go feed Coyote, then I built another trap. At that point, Coyote was fully healed, and while I was working on the last trap on the southern side of my home, Coyote popped up and took off. I waved him a warm goodbye, and he was right happy. After that I had some food, smoked a little smoke leaf, did a little cleaning, built some more walls where I'd mined out all that mountain, and kept focusing on my traps. I was walking carefully, making sure not to step on one, hurt myself. At that point, my smoke leaf came due. I started harvesting that before I got too tired to keep my eyes open, despite the fact that it was only 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Shortly after that, some visitors showed up. There's some people want to hang out, say hi, and they had some stuff to trade. So that was alright. Seemed like reasonably decent people. Theo, Setsuko. I decided to get up, run on out, see if they wanted to do some trading. While I was over there, maybe I could build a trap. I was pretty stoned when I got over there, which didn't affect me too much, but I think she got the upper hand in them negotiations. Sold a bunch of guns, joints, and some junky clothes I didn't want. I bought some medicine. By then I was right hungry. I stood out by a tree, had myself some pemmican. I ran on inside. Decided to finish harvesting the smoke leaf. I didn't botch it too bad. I was still improving, dealing with all these plants. So I got it all planted once again. And I decided I'd better get this security back up and running. So I built another trap. I got the steel to build the last one after that. And just in the nick of time, some tribes people showed up. There was all kinds of them this time. 6 people. Being that they're from a tribe, they didn't really have any threatening weapons, and I figured my traps would probably take care of them. I finished the one I was working on, and then I grabbed my gun, took off running to defend against them. Once again, the traps have done their job. Brought 3 of them down. I gave chase to the others. A bunch of jerks. 2 of them running around stark naked. Their business hanging out. I managed to shoot 2 of them. Didn't bring anybody down, which is just fine with me. Hopefully they caught the lesson. That being, don't come around here messing around, trying to hurt people. Just mind your own business. There's plenty of resources on this planet. Everybody could survive well. I needed some relaxation after that, so I stood around tossing some horseshoes. About that time, a trader showed up with all kinds of goods to share. I was really tired, so I decided to go lay down. I was worried about my traps being broken down. I decided to run over and talk to that trader. Sold a bunch of leathers, junky clothes, but I bought myself a nice helmet. That was going to be helpful. All these people coming here to attack me. Better than this old hat I'd been wearing. So I felt decent about it as I was digging a bunch of graves. Decided I'd better have some extras. I donned my new helmet. I got back to working on traps. And then decided maybe I'd better bury these people first, so I'm not looking at them. After burying one of them, I was off to bed again. It had been such a busy couple days. When I woke up, it was right about midnight. Had a little bit of food. Got the last of those people buried. I had 3 graves to spare, and my hops were ready once again. That was good. That meant more beer. I could always go for more beer. I started working on it right away in my excitement. And I realized I had a bunch of beer that could already be taken out of the fermenter and bottled up. And that was pretty good. I'd sold a bunch of my joints, which didn't matter too much since I could make a ton more. And now I had a bunch of beer as well. It's gonna be a right good day, I was thinking as I sat, having myself a beer, feeling pretty tough in this new helmet. I didn't much like the look. I thought it made me look too military. But I was drunk and stoned at the time, so I decided to keep on making beer. Hamlet was helping me bring those hops in, and I got as much made as I could before too long. My workroom was getting to be quite a mess, but that was what it was. After that, I decided those traps should be top priority, so I rebuilt the 3 traps that needed building. Then, back to bed again. It was only 6 p.m., but I was getting on a more normal schedule until 2 a.m. when I woke up hungry. Decided to build some walls. I was almost done blocking off that area so those critters couldn't get in. That felt good. I worked through more of my wood than I would have liked to. Some of my walls needed repairs after having been attacked so many times. So I worked on that for a while too. Didn't want to invite any danger. And then I ran around, harvested some of that ambrosia Coyote told me about. I got quite a bit of it. Decided to take the long way back into the home, which was just fine. Then I sat down and had a beer. Hamlet was hanging out. I thought about giving him a beer. I didn't really need a drunk dog on my hands. So I sat, just enjoying life, which is rare in these parts. People always trying to kill you and all. As I was filling up the fermented barrels, Hamlet came down with the plague. He laid down right away so I could help him out, and I got him treated as best I could, but I'm sure not a veterinarian, so there wasn't a ton I could do. Then I got to the business of making some smoke leaf, having a little bit of food, trying to keep the place tidy as well, and then back to making smoke leaf joints. In between making joints, I did a little bit of cleaning. I pretty much made joints all day. Some coffee beans fell right out of the sky, which is pretty amazing. And since there was an aurora on, and the sky was beautiful, I decided to run out and get those coffee beans and enjoy that aurora. It was a right good walk, despite the rotting corpses around. When I got back in, I went right to bed. Next day, had a little bit of food, got right back to the business of making smoke leaf joints. I had to feed Hamlet once in a while. He wasn't feeling up to moving. And I was tired myself all of a sudden, so I went back to bed. As long as no one's coming trying to kill me, I can rest as much as I want to. I woke up, had another joint, ate a little pemmican, then decided I should probably get back to cooking. Haven't cooked in a while, and I had plenty of meat, but was running a little low on pemmican. So I focused on that. Did a bunch of tidying up as well, before heading back to bed. Days sure were going fast. That night, Hamlet developed an immunity. Seems to me, because he was up and about for the first time in a while. When I woke up at 4 a.m., I had some food, had to spend some time teaching Hamlet some stuff once again. But he's a good boy. He took to it. I went for a walk around, just checking out my little area before it was time to have another feed. It started raining, so I decided to stay inside and do some cooking. Pemmican stalks weren't going to rebuild themselves. While cooking, my wall caught on fire. There was an explosion in there. I must have put some bad wiring in. I caught myself on fire during it. I was running around trying to get this fire out that was on my coat, causing me all kinds of hell. Despite the rain, it took longer than I would have liked for that fire to go out. But when it did, I decided I'd have to get myself treated after putting out the wall fire. I didn't have much medicine, but I decided to use my herbals. Be better than using nothing, I suppose. I didn't want to end up with any more permanent scars. Well, I did an alright job, not the best though. My clothes looked a little worse for wear, but I could build something else anytime. So I let it go for the minute. I cooked pemmican, and I made some garden coffees, which was pretty delicious. I focused on that for quite a while before heading off to bed. I was burnt up pretty good. Both my legs, my torso, and my right hand had caught it. So I slept well that night, despite the pain. When I woke up, I was right back to making coffee, eating pemmican, and I chilled out for a bit, tossing some horseshoes once again. Still my favorite pastime, despite that fancy chess table I made. Most of my burns had healed up by now. The last one was on my right leg. It was coming together pretty quick, so I wasn't worried about it. I made some more garden coffee, and then I repaired all the burnt up walls in my place. I was feeling right frenzied as I was going around cleaning, working, doing stuff. There was definitely more smoke leaf joints to make, so I got back to that, and I was making some amazing progress on that. While doing so, the most pleasant feeling overcame me. I was happier than I think I'd ever been, which was amazing. I got the last of the smoke leaf joints made as Hamlet helped me by hauling them. Put some of my wort into the fermenting barrels, which I'd forgot to do earlier. Had myself some pemmican and decided to call it another day. While sleeping, a mad squirrel decided to make a dash at me. Clearly wasn't aware of my traps though. They didn't last long, poor little guy. Sadly, that was going to cost me more steel. I was getting close to using about half of what I had. But Hamlet hauled that squirrel off. I fixed the trap, and I got him butchered, made some more pemmican. Decided to have myself a beer as it started to get extremely hot outside, which didn't concern me too much. The weather here was generally pleasant. After the beer, did some tidying up, and it was right back to cooking. Wasn't a whole lot of squirrel meat. After that, I was back to research. It had been a while since I was able to sit down in my floofy chair, working on figuring out the secrets of microelectronics. I decided an air conditioner was in order, so I built that in my researching and working room. And then I got a call. Somebody else being chased. She was right scared. I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. Sam was her name. Seemed like a nervous type, but a decent shooter. Sadly, I'd sold off most of my junky guns I had laying around. She really liked my hat, but I wasn't going to give that up for now. I did give her a pistol though. Seemed like that'd benefit her. Even the animals were running scared from whatever the heck was chasing Sam. It didn't take long for them to show up. I was getting right sick of this business. Sam had stole my hat. I made her take it off. And she had a nice coat she decided to leave me in exchange for the pistol. But she realized she couldn't just bat her eyes and smile at me to get what she wanted. Hamlet was running around outside, so I got a little bit scared for him. Made him go inside and lay down. Don't be a naughty dog. Get yourself killed. That would break my heart. Well, those people came running in. We tried shooting at them, so not too many of my traps would get destroyed. It didn't seem to make much difference. 2 of them went down on the traps. 1 of them we shot up pretty good, but they did end up getting up all on their own, trying to walk on out of here. I don't think it was going to go too well for them, based on how slow they were going. I tried to shoot the other 2 that were uninjured, managed to wing 1 of them. The one that got up, Beaver, and brought her down right quick. I told Sam the bad news that she had to go, but I did let her keep the pistol, so she wasn't too unhappy with that. 3 people were dead nearby, and I had 3 graves, so that worked out decently well. I decided to have a beer after having dealt with all that chaos, dealing with these bodies. I thought maybe I could leave some out for Hamlet to eat, but that really grosses me out. I decided against it as I went to bed. In the morning, I put on that nice coat Sam had left me. Decided to build another shelf, keeping my beer and my joints in since I was getting too many of those things around. And I was off to start burying these schmucks. Planned out a bunch more graves. As I was burying that last person, more stinking coffee beans fell out of the sky. Somebody around here sure must have a surplus of those things, but I was not going to complain. After burying the last body, I decided another joint was in order. That's what I did. smoked it up before running on out to grab all the coffee beans. While I was out there, a manhunter pack of some crazy capybara creature showed up. I was a little worried that I wasn't going to get inside before they got to me. So I decided to change course, take the other way around and back into the homestead. Hamlet was safe. They probably don't mess with dogs anyways, but just in case. So I ran the long way around. Only one of them got close to me. But once again, the trap did its job. Still, there was 4 more. All of them went down on the traps. So I had 5 of these things dead. They were reasonably good sized. Sadly, that means I had to make 5 more traps. Steel reserves were not where I would have liked them to be once again. And while I was hauling the first one of those things, some cargo pods crashed down right in the middle of the homestead, leaving a bunch more junk around, full of some kind of weird, goopy, glowy jelly stuff. Seemed like it might be alright to eat. I gave it a quick lick and it tasted alright. I was a little unsure though, as I went off to bed that night. I got word of a bandit camp. If I take it out, somebody's gonna send me some goods. It wasn't terribly close, but it wasn't terribly far. They were offering a pretty good reward. Should I get to it, maybe I'd focus on getting some pemmican together. See if I could head on over there, get those goodies. Right now though, there was traps to build, dead critters to haul. And I decided to take all the junk around the base, put it off to the side. It wasn't just laying in the middle of a nice space. My potatoes needed harvesting by then, so I worked on that. Didn't take me too long. I was getting pretty decent. After that, potatoes were cut and replanted. And it was time to rebuild all those traps. And once again, steel was getting low. I was going to have to sort something out here. I got the 2 in the south rebuilt. And then I decided I was going to futz around with my chess table. It sure would be nice to have somebody to play chess with. But I was learning all by myself despite the fact. While hauling steel around to rebuild all the traps those critters had destroyed, another trader showed up. And that was pretty good. I built traps till they showed up. I sold all that insect jelly, some smoke leaf, ambrosia, junky clothes, some of my beer even, since I had so much more about to come in, and my old table as well. I bought all the electrical components they had. Seemed like that'd be useful. I even bought some steel. I was feeling a little desperate at that point. Then I was off to bed after getting it all hauled in. They milled around quite a while out there as I slept another fine night.